Our Disney cruise to Alaska has been one of our favorite trips yet, and it's also been one of the most expensive. While planning this trip and trying to keep our budget in check, we kept asking ourselves, do you really need a veranda on a Disney cruise to Alaska? Let's talk about it. We decided to book a deluxe ocean view stateroom for our journey to Alaska, and it saved us several $1,000s over booking a veranda. Here are our thoughts about all of that. Let's start with the basics. Pricing for Alaska cruises are already higher than your average Disney cruise. And unless you live on the West Coast, the cost of getting there can add up quickly. They're already starting with a little higher price tag than a standard Disney cruise that travels through the Caribbean or the Bahamas. Take into account that many people want a veranda for their cruise to Alaska, and so the price increase is due to that demand. But how much more is a veranda on a Disney cruise to Alaska? Let's take a look at some prices for 2024. Looking at this cruise, you can see here that prices for an inside room start just under $5,000 for a party of 2. These prices will change depending on the exact location of the room. However, when you see the prices for a veranda at first glance, this price is generally for a navigator's veranda or a veranda with an obstructed view. Selecting room 7122, which is a navigator's veranda on deck 7, is $9,947 for 2 guests. Switching that to an unobstructed veranda in the same area of the ship increases that price to $13,545. And since we're looking at the aft of the ship, which tends to be a little less expensive than other areas, other parts of the ship are probably going to be even more. Going back to the ocean view rooms, this is more than double what you can expect to pay for a room with just a porthole and almost 3 times the price of an inside room. Now, this is just a sampling of prices, but from my experience, this is really common for Disney cruises to Alaska, and it just goes to show you how much more expensive these rooms can really be. There are a lot of factors to consider when deciding what type of room you want for any cruise. We chose an ocean view room for our Disney cruise to Alaska and would 100% do it again. So let's talk about why we don't think a veranda is necessary on a Disney cruise to Alaska. The weather can be really unpredictable in Alaska, and remember, you're also out on the water, so you're dealing with a lot of wind. During our cruise, I specifically paid attention to the times I would have enjoyed being out on the balcony, and truthfully, I would have maybe spent a total of 5 hours on a veranda during the entire cruise. It was just too cold to be out on a balcony, and I'm someone who actually enjoys cold weather, so that's kind of saying a lot. Now, if you're going in the middle of summer, that could definitely change. We had beautiful weather with very little rain, but the cruise immediately after us had rain pretty much the entire time. Much of Alaska's coastline is a temperate rainforest, so rain is always possible. We went in early June, and I wouldn't say it was freezing cold, but it was definitely chilly. Cruises to Alaska are busy ones. Port days are long, and there's a lot to do on board, with unique opportunities for meeting characters in outfits specific to Alaska, hearing naturalist talks, all of the special onboard fun, and all of the other regularly scheduled programming that you'll find on a Disney cruise. We didn't often find ourselves spending much time in our room. Everyone cruises and vacations differently, of course, so if you're someone who plans to spend a lot of time in your room, a veranda might be worth your money. For us, it definitely would not have been. Alaska has long daylight hours. Alaska stays light for a very long time in the summer. This video of the sunset was taken at 11 p.m. in early June after our dinner. There are days during the summer that parts of Alaska only see 3 to 4 hours of darkness, and if you talk to some of the locals, they'll actually tell you it never really gets dark due to the position of the sun. As good as the darkening curtains are on a Disney cruise ship, we had an ocean view room, and I could always see a little light poking through the curtains quite early, so if you're someone who's sensitive to light when you're sleeping, you might even want to consider an inside room for absolute darkness. Skipping the veranda room, for us, meant more money for excursions. As much as we love exploring on our own when we're cruising, Alaska is a lot more difficult to get around if you choose to go out on your own. That's not to say that you have to book excursions or tours, but for a lot of people, the things that they want to do, like exploring glaciers, dog sledding, whale watching, and seeing more of the wilderness, is something that you kind of need to book an excursion for. And these excursions are not cheap. For us, since we booked an ocean view instead of a veranda, we had a lot more room in our budget to really splurge on some of the excursions we had been wanting to do for a while. you can still fully enjoy Glacier Day without a veranda. Glacier Day was one of our absolute favorite days on our Disney cruise. We really thought we were going to miss not having a veranda, especially for this day, but that wasn't the case at all. There was a lot going on the upper decks during Glacier Day that you really don't want to miss by being in your room, being able to meet the characters in their Alaskan outfits outside, enjoying hot cocoa, and being at the very front of the ship when the glacier spotted was absolutely amazing. The upper decks on board the Disney Wonder during Glacier Day are an absolute vibe, and we are glad we did not miss it. We also got to see plenty of wildlife, and we were able to do that all without having a veranda. We also really loved being able to see the scale of things from our room, which was actually located on deck 2. That's a view you're not really gonna get unless you happen to just be staying on deck 2, so that was also very cool, and something I'm glad we didn't miss. There are plenty of opportunities to enjoy the outdoors without a veranda. Deck 4, the adult-only section near Cove Cafe, and any of the other seating areas on the Disney Wonder seem to always have plenty of space and blankets. Sure, we couldn't just walk out of our room to enjoy the scenery, but it wasn't really that big of a deal, especially when you consider how much money we were saving by not having that convenience. Would it have been absolutely amazing to have a veranda for our Disney cruise to Alaska? Yeah, of course, and I know many other people who wouldn't have it any other way. But for us, the cost just couldn't be justified. We were able to do all of the excursions we wanted, and we never felt like we were missing out. And when you consider the price difference between a veranda and an ocean view room is enough to book another cruise, we are 100% happy that we went with the decision that we did. I know some people need a veranda to feel comfortable in a smaller space and for quick access to fresh air. But if it's not in your budget, don't stress. The best room is the one you can afford, and a Disney cruise to Alaska will be magical regardless of what room type you choose. We hope this video has helped you decide if you really need a veranda for a Disney cruise to Alaska. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.